Well, it's that time of the month again. It's time for my monthly meat meal prep, freezer meat prep method. A lot of you guys wanted to see exactly how I stock my freezer for the entire month with meat. So today I'm going to break it all down and I'm going to show you guys my entire process of how I stock up my freezer with an entire month worth of meat, utilizing bulk prep and also buying meat in bulk once a month from stores like US Chef Store, Costco. If you have a restaurant depot near you, basically any like restaurant or wholesaler that has meat, you're going to be able to find a very similar type of meat. Starting out strong, this is the first time I'm doing this, but I bought 40 pounds of chicken thighs from the US Chef Store and they ended up being about $1.68 per pound, which is a crazy good deal considering that I pay about $3.99 per pound at Costco. I'm going to be using about 20 pounds for ground chicken and the other 20 pounds ish or so are going to be packed away and sealed. So the chicken thigh meat, a case of 40 pounds was $58.39. With tax, it was $61.88. The tri-tip was $6.99 a pound, which is a really great deal compared to what you can find at Costco. And the sirloin butt was $6.29 a pound, also on sale. I typically will get a chub of ground beef. They did not have that this month, so I figured we could go a month without ground beef because we're gonna have ground chicken. And instead, I got a little chub of the mild Italian pork sausage. And then from Walmart, I got 2 fillets of the salmon. I don't necessarily think that Walmart has the best quality of salmon, but it has the best price. So it was $8.57 a pound for the salmon, and I got 2 fillets. Okay, so I always start by sanitizing my workspace where I'm going to be cutting, butchering, packaging all the meat. I use a hypochlorous acid spray. This is one I got off of Amazon. I will have everything linked in my description box. I will saturate the work surface and I will let it sit for like 2 to 5 minutes just so it's actually disinfecting the entire area. When you're working with raw meat, you really need to be careful with cross-contamination. So in between switching meats and all kinds of things, I will spray down my counters with the hypochlorous acid. So a few tools that I like to keep on hand when I'm separating and butchering meat are these trays right here. These are just half baking sheet trays, but I like them because I can spread out and prep my meat onto these trays instead of like the counters or plates. And then I have a couple of knives. I have a butchering knife. I have like a big chef's knife over here, and then I have a fillet knife. Honestly, if you just get one good butchering knife, that will do. And then I have a bunch of gloves. I always wear gloves when I'm prepping meat. And then I like to use a plastic cutting board specifically because then I can toss this into the dishwasher and I can sanitize it completely. I always like to cut whatever slab of meat it is. I like to cut it in half because then I get to see the grain. As you can see, some of the meat with the tri-tip, it's already kind of separated. So I just go ahead and I separate the rest of it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the larger portions and I'm going to cut these into smaller steaks. This long piece will stay as one steak. For instance, these are tri-tips that I'm going to grill in their entirety. So this is a good cut. I don't need to slice this any further. And then if you want tri-tip steaks, you can just cut this the long way like this. This will give you tri-tip steaks like that. I am not trained. I don't know what I am doing necessarily. I'm just kind of guessing and learning as I go. Okay, so now that I've cut up the entire tri-tip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the meat that I've cut up and I'm going to separate what I call the lobes of the tri-tip, which are like these larger pieces right here. I'm going to separate them from the steaks. All I'm going to do is I'm going to separate them onto different prep sheets just so that when it's time to pack them, I know which ones are individual steaks and which ones are the lobe meats. And with the lobe, I know this is probably so like not technical. I like to do 1 or maybe like 2 of these in a package versus like the individual steaks will probably have 4 to 5 depending on the size of the steak. And then I have started my beef scrap pile, which is going to be turned into a little bit of ground beef. Same process, cutting it in half this way. I don't decide what to do with it until it's cut in half and I can see the center. This would be a huge steak, obviously, if I just cut it down this way. So I'm probably just going to do halves. I know I'm probably gonna have somebody screaming at me that this is absolutely vile. I think what would have helped too is if I froze these a little bit, which I've done in the past. I just didn't have the time to do that today. At the end of the day, I know that the cuts that I'm making are not restaurant quality aesthetic cuts. The point is to feed your family good proteins. Your family has something to eat that is good. It's going to taste delicious. It might not look as pretty. It might not be those juicy ribeye cuts of a restaurant, but this is sustainable. This is something anybody can do in their house. I am just passionate about teaching women how to sustainably feed their families on a budget and also make it taste good. Okay, so I have these large slabs. I have a mix of like thinner ones, and then I have a couple that are nice and thick, so I'll only need to make one per evening. Another way that you can cut this cut of meat is by putting it on its side like this and then slicing the steaks this way. Okay, now that the beef is all done, there's a couple of ways of going about packaging it. You can use Ziploc bags, freezer Ziploc bags, if you're only going to be storing it for a month, which I am in my case. There is no issue with freezer burn when you're storing it for a month and a half max. If you plan on stocking up your freezer for longer, or if you know that all of this meat will last you longer than a month, I highly recommend using vacuum storage bags. I have the Chef Preserve system right here, which is really nice handheld system. I used it last month and it was fantastic and I highly recommend it. But if you're only packaging things for about a month and a half, these Ziplocs do beautifully, and then I just toss them. It's just less work for me. I don't need to wash anything. That's just my personal preference. Okay, so when it comes to the types of Ziploc bags I use, there are a couple that are my favorite. The original Ziploc gallon-sized ones are great. I ran out and I have the Kirkland ones to use, which work just fine, but I do prefer the Ziploc brand. The other size that I really love are the half-gallon bags for these smaller steaks. That way you don't need an entire gallon Ziploc bag. This is also really good for some of the chicken thighs, any of the marinades, or the smaller portions. The other size that I get are the quart bags, the freezer Ziploc quart bags. This is not sponsored. I just like their brand. A lot of people have issues with microplastics, but the problem with the microplastics, a lot of people don't realize, the issue is in the sealing mechanism. When you continuously close and open and close it, that's when it leaches out plastic. But if you're using this just for a month and then you're gonna toss it or maybe use it a couple of times, you're not at risk at releasing the microplastics. I like to wrap my steaks individually between like parchment paper, and it just helps to separate them in the Ziploc. And I think it also helps prevent like freezer burn. I'll do between 3 and 4 small steaks in here. Okay, I'm about to switch my meat to chicken, so I am going to spray down the entire work surface again with hypochlorous acid spray. Okay, so for my chicken, I have 40 pounds that I bought at the chef store. I'm not going to be utilizing them and packaging all 40 pounds. I will be taking about 25 pounds and vacuum sealing those, and then the rest of those 15 extra pounds, I will actually be grinding into ground chicken myself with my meat grinder. But for this, super easy. I've already rinsed it out. We're just going to package, vacuum seal, and that's it. I'm using the medium bags from Chef Preserve just because I find that these are my favorite size. Put them away, set them aside, fill up the rest of them, and then I'll come back, change my gloves, and vacuum seal them all. Okay, I am switching to a different meat. So you know the drill, I already cleared the counters with hypochlorous acid spray. One salmon is just getting divided into portions. The other salmon is getting cured and like cut into eucula. I rinsed it off and then I'm just gonna pat it dry with a paper towel. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do 2 portions per bag. Okay, now, and the last thing that I'm going to focus on for today is my ground meat. All right, so I ground up all of my beef and I ended up having this fatty fatty ground beef, which is going to be really good to put into leaner meat like chicken, turkey, for patties and meatballs and all sorts of things. So the last thing that I have left to do now is to portion out my ground pork, and I'm just going to cut this up into roughly about 8-pound sections, and then I'm going to put all of this into Ziploc baggies. Okay, so a couple hours later, this is everything I have. This is honestly way more than I need for an entire month, but that's because I got a great deal on the chicken thighs, so I know that these guys are going to last me a lot longer than just 1 month, but that's totally fine because I could not pass up the price. And because of that, we also got a lot more ground chicken than I need for an entire month, but that's totally fine because they are going to be utilized in a ton of recipes. I also have my fatty ground beef. I have several tri-tips. I have lots of little individual steaks, a little bit of salmon, and then of course I have my salmon fillet here that I am going to be curing and smoking, and that's just going to be something that we enjoy as a family. This is basically what I do every single month to process all of my meat. Every month looks a little bit different just based on what types of proteins that I buy. And now that everything is said and done, it's time for the most dreaded part of all of this, is the cleanup. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from this. And as always, thank you guys so much for liking, commenting. I'll see you guys in my next one.